All right, today we are plugging in and really tearing down the sound of one of Japan's most incredible rock guitarists, Shinichi Ubukata. If you've ever listened to ELLEGARDEN or Nothing's Carved in Stone and just thought, man, how does he get that sound? Well, you have come to the right place. This quote right here, it just nails it, doesn't it? That's the eternal quest for guitar players. A sound that's aggressive enough to slice through a dense band mix, but still has this huge, warm body to it. So how does he actually pull that off? Let's get into it. Okay, so everything, and I mean everything, starts with the guitar. For Ubukata, his choice of instrument isn't just a style thing, it's the absolute soul of his sound. And you know what's crazy? It's been the one constant in his rig throughout his entire career.
He's all about those Gibson semi-hollows, especially models like the ES355. Now, for a lot of rock players, the second you mention a semi-hollow with high gain, they start thinking about uncontrollable feedback, right? But here's the twist. For Ubukata, that's kind of the point. He actually harnesses that acoustic liveliness, that resonance, to create this amazing interaction with his amps. It's what gives his tone that signature punch and air.
And he is so deliberate about his choices, it's not just any semi-hollow. He's got specific tools for specific jobs. His main ride, the ES355, has these 57 classic pickups at an ebony fretboard, which gives him that super sharp, deep attack he loves. But then, when he needs to really crank the gain and keep things tight, he'll grab his modified black ES335. It's a workhorse, loaded with a hotter pickup just for that reason. This philosophy, it goes into every single piece of the guitar. I mean, check this out, the Bigsby. For most of us, that's for a little wobble, a little shimmer, but for him, no way. He sees it as a core part of his tone engine. He says it literally changes the texture of the distortion and helps the notes ring out longer. It's brilliant. So if the semi-hollow guitar is the soul of the sound, then the amplifier has to be the engine that brings it all to life. And honestly, his whole approach to amps is where we find one of the biggest secrets to his amazing dynamic playing. You know the classic guitarist problem, right? The amp tone you fall in love with in the studio is just way, way too loud for most stages. So with ELLEGARDEN, he needs that big Marshall roar, but at a volume that won't deafen everyone. That's where the VHT Pitbull comes in. But in the studio, when volume is no object, he goes straight to his true love, the legendary Marshall GCM 800. Now listen up, because this right here is a total game changer. He doesn't use a clean channel, like ever. He just dimes his amp on a single high-gain setting and then gets every sound he needs from super sparkly cleans to raging distortion by working his volume pedal. It's all in his foot. This gives him this incredibly smooth, fluid control over his sound that just isn't possible when you're tap dancing on channel switches. So to make sure that one channel sounds perfect, he's got a really specific way of setting his EQ. And this is something you can try yourself. First, you set your treble and bass to get the basic shape of your sound. Then, last, you start pushing the mids. And you push them right up to that razor's edge, the absolute limit, just before it starts to sound harsh or fizzy. That's the sweet spot. That's where you get all the punch and clarity you need to cut through. All right, so we've got the foundation, the guitar, and the amp. Now it's time to add the color. Let's talk about the effects pedals. And this is the part of his rig that has changed the most dramatically over the years. I mean, you can literally see his artistic journey right here on his pedal board. Back in 2008, it was this raw, simple setup, just the basics. Then you jump to 2018, and it's this absolute monster of a system with 27 pedals. Today, things are a bit more streamlined, but it's still this incredibly powerful sonic toolbox built to create all those complex sounds you hear in his later work. Let's just focus on fuzz for a second. For Ubukata, fuzz isn't just one sound, it's a whole language. He's got a different pedal for every single thing he wants to say. The Zvex Fuzz Factory, that's his old faithful, his go-to for probably 80% of his solos. But if he wants those weird, glitchy, almost synth-like sounds, he stomps on the Human Gear Animato. And for those huge, punchy single-note riffs, that's a classic fuzz face style pedal. Every single one is chosen for its own unique voice. So, we've torn apart the guitars, the amps, the pedals, but what's the big picture? What does it all really mean? Let's try to boil this all down to the key principles. Let's call it the Ubukata method. When you really get down to it, it's all about total control and making really smart, deliberate choices. It's about using your foot to control your dynamics, not some button. It's about making the mid-range the absolute hero of your sound. It's choosing a guitar that feels alive, that breathes, and even fights back a little bit.
And it's knowing that every single one of your dirt pedals has its own personality. It's a complete system that's always changing to serve the song.
Look, at the end of the day, Ubukata's entire approach is just a masterclass in how to treat your rig as one single expressive instrument. From the wood of the guitar to the last pedal on the chain, everything is connected. So the real question is, after hearing all this, what's the one secret you're going to steal for your own sound?